Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ. Come on, camera. It's having some camera issues. Fingers crossed. I have a birthday coming up. Hopefully, I'll have some ability to do this. We're going to talk about posthuman, transhuman, science fiction, tabletop role playing games. Specifically, the one I've been on and off again designing in front of you guys, and it takes place within our own solar system. So today we're gonna survive the system. I'm gonna show you the character sheet that I've been modifying and remodifying, getting it simplified and all that good stuff. But allow me to off camera fix the camera, get into our intro, and then we get right back into it. Sorry about this, guys. Hello, once again, it's RPG with DBJ. Gonna share out the character sheet because it's more interesting than my ugly mug. All right, so Obsidian Star is a tabletop role-playing game I've been working on, and the reason for its title and where it takes place and whatnot is I am a huge fan, ginormous fan of hard science fiction. And I believe, just in my humble opinion, I think The Expanse, in terms of pop culture, has probably brought about one of the best depictions of hard science fiction I think we've ever seen in a very broad medium. And being very impressed by that, and also having a bit of a fascination with this type of science fiction depiction, I was like, man, I think we do our own solar system. We don't do our own solar system much justice, do we? And so I said, even in a tabletop role-playing community, we've got fantasy, and then modern, and science fiction tends to unfortunately stay down there towards the bottom. And I wanted to both draw people into our community, right? Into the people that love science fiction just as much as I do, as well as the fact that, Heathen, hey, what's up? No, this isn't working. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it so you guys can actually see it without my face like blocking anything, but still get the screen big enough. It says, hello, still up having tea before bed? Really? Yeah. Election time. Haven't really delved into that on this channel because that's just opening up a can of worms, and I don't think we need to do all that. Election time. Because it's just it'll just be that's mind fuel for another I don't know, online stream of a thing that deserves its own presence. All right, so for those who don't know, this is a character sheet, and I really wanted to simplify this game, and I'm going to say homage, but let's be frank, I've stolen a lot of ideas from other games and have played a number of games. And I think the problem in my own head in developing this is that there's too many options. There's too many ways of too many ways to math the math, too many ways to tell the story, and not narrowing it down to make it as simple as possible. So for those who don't know, Obsidian Star, hard science fiction, posthuman, transhumanism, high technological issue, and it takes place within the SYS. So as I start talking things, I'm going to vacillate between mechanics and the narrative. So the SYS, the system, is our solar system, and it's just called the SYS. And yes, does it sound like other things? Yes, like CYST, yes. So our solar system has been populated. We've gone past Earth, and we have started to populate many, if not all, of the bodies within our solar system, and we are limited by not being able to effectively leave our own solar system in a like a hyperspace, faster than light. No, if you leave, it's a one-way trip, right? And humanity has been leaving. They've been taking their trips into the dark elements of the solar system using technologies that will have them survive. And no one knows really what's out there beyond that. These are generation ships that have gone out there. But this game takes place within our own solar system. So what's out there? Well, there was something out there, and whatever it was out there sent back a signal to our own solar system. Now, we have colonies on hundreds of moons, and 5 times as many built habitats orbiting planets and moons, many of them circling through our own solar system. But this signal came back and overloaded every single data system we had available to us. So the trillions of people who live in our own solar system, yes, I said trillions, were devastated when all these systems were overloaded, packed with this information. Now, no one knew at the time. Everyone just thought that all communications died, systems were overloaded, too many people to count were trapped or lost or fell victim to failing technologies, and eventually humanity got back to getting started again. What they didn't realize is that they left behind information in these hard drives and these data sources that were basically scrapped, destroyed, rebooted, wiped clean, and they are known as data cores. And one of the backgrounds in this world is, after that signal was sent, these data cores still exist, and they're like puzzles to getting us maybe to leave our own solar system. All the theoretical sciences that we have today were made practical by the information in these data cores, except it's an incomplete picture. Some even speculate that had we not panicked and destroyed all this stuff, we would have ascended to another level. We don't. No one really knows. And even me as a designer, I don't even know. I don't want to let anybody know, and I don't want to speculate beyond that. So in the background of this game, there's this idea of getting the data cores. The data cores are located at the bottom of this character sheet. But before that, who are you traveling in this world? Who are you? What are you doing? Well, you are gathering together with your other partners as a constellation. So at the top of the character sheet, you got your name and your constellation. And the constellation is an overview of what it is that you are going to be doing in this world. Yeah, I hear you. Yep. Yeah, Heathen. Yeah. Well, if you say mods, I say people who can insert themselves whenever they feel like it, and I really don't mind that. I want that can of worms buried at Mariana's trench. I don't know. I think every one of those worms would be big enough to eat your face off. So I don't know. There you go. There you go, Shy Squad. Yeah. Shame you can't just click it on the screen, but you can pick it up on the on the chat over on the side. I think maybe. Let's see, can I? It won't let me do it. Yeah, my software won't let me do it, but everybody else can do the same thing. Yeah, no problem. You get no arguments from me. So, the default in the game is that the players will be linked together as a group known as a constellation, and you're going to have a goal, and that goal could be piracy. That goal could be scavenging and hunting for data cores. It could be with upholding the hegemonic fist of a tyrannical government or something like that. Basically, it's like, do we want to play like bounty hunters or assassins? Do we want to play explorers or entrepreneurial developers or something like that? That's up to you guys, and that will be listed under your constellation. Then we get into stats. Now, here in the little small bracket here, it does say 2d12 art and science, and you're gonna have 2 die 12. I went back to the 12 because numerically it works with the oracle and the probability range. But the 2d12, they're going to be 2 different colors. Yes, it does coincide with Obsidian and Star. One's going to be the Obsidian die, one's going to be the Star die. I know most people are not, people like to be contrarian, so their Obsidian die might be the lighter one and the Star die might be the darker one, but whatever, you get the point. 2 different dice, and the Obsidian die represents the setbacks, the Star die represents progress. So what you're going to roll is both dice, and you want the highest number, point blank. That's it. There's no we'll get into modifiers, but essentially that's what you want to do. Well, if you're just rolling 2 dice and you get the highest number, that's basically 50-50 chance of doing anything. And if the Obsidian die, the dark die, is higher, that means that the assumption is you're going to succeed with a setback. That's the basis of this game. So you're either going to succeed or you're going to succeed with a setback. There are going to be lots of complications, lots and lots of complications. So how do we modify your chances and just not make it 50-50 all the time? Well, that's when you're going to go with how you approach your problems. And you're going to solve those problems in a number of ways, but first you're going to decide how you're going to do it, either through vector, spiraling, or axis. And they sound strange, but instead of like strength, dex, intelligence, charisma, or anything like that, posthumanism is about technology making us bigger, better, brighter. And it's assumed that for the most part, like a cell phone, you have most human knowledge in your head. You have the ability to access it. Now, like normal human beings with cell phones, despite the fact we have basically all human knowledge on our cell phone, that didn't make us any smarter. It just gave us the ability to access it. And so how you access the information is based on vector, spiral, or axis. A vector is very direct, not hidden. You're going straight at solving the situation, regardless of what's around you. Physically, it's very forceful. Socially, you're like intimidating, you're taking over. It's very, very direct. Hacking, if you're going to hack a computer, I don't care if someone sees me or notices me. Look, I need to break through this firewall and I'm going to hack into the system, things like that. Spiral is more about maneuvering around a situation. It is hey, listen, I need to solve my situation, but I'm willing to flow and move and curve around the thing instead of going directly at it. Hey, listen, I'm not going to break the wall down, but I will figure a way to maneuver around the wall. And then axis is taking in all accounts, like, the XYZ axis, and that is taking in all the information, using as minimal energy as possible, and then trying to solve the problem. For the most part, not being noticed, not being seen, being a little more calm. Combat-wise, it's about using your environment. It's about taking into account, reinforcements and where you're at. If you've got the high ground, and taking cover and things like that, using all the elements around you. Heck, even predicting what your enemy may do. And then next to this, when you're doing these things, you're going to have a number, and that number is going to basically be from 1 to 3. You can have negative numbers, and there's going to be the ability to have negative numbers, but when designing your character, there can be no more than +3 numbers. So you're going to have 3 points, and you can have more than that, but in the beginning rate, if you added everything up, it can't be higher than 3. So you could just start out with, I'm going to put vector 3, and these are going to be zeros. You can say, well, I'm going to make my spiral -1, and then that means you can then add 4 points. I'm going to make my vector 2 and my axis 2, and spiral -1. If you add it all together, it's just a bonus of +3. Yes, there's going to be an upper limit. You could go like, I'm going to get a -7 and then do a we're not doing all that. If you're using one of your approaches, like if you're using vector, you're not using spiral or axis, which means that, so the idea behind that is that if you are being very direct in your actions, you are not being circumspect, like in spiral, and you're not being careful, as in using axis. Next to this is person, place, thing. I was going to put that at the bottom, but I really want to place this up at the top, because the person, place, and thing that's important to you will give you numerical importance, and it also shapes who you are. And so you're going to list a person, place, or thing, and you're going to put a 1 or 2 or a 3, whichever way, on how important they are, and that will come up in the game. The game master, the admin, or whatever, I don't know if I'm going to still use admin or not. They get to roll a d12, or maybe even get you to roll a d12 to see if that thing becomes important in the next game session, or this particular game session. And person could actually be people, place could be places, and a thing could be things that are important to you. And that number that's going to be listed in here, if it's rolled on a d12, it comes up in the game. So if they roll a 1, 2, or 3, it's probably going to, they have the ability to bring it, to kind of threaten your character with it, because it's important to you. And this is also your way of healing. So if you engage with your person, place, or thing, whatever number's there, you get to heal that back. And when I say heal, it's more like recovery rather than what some people would call like hit points or something like that. Shit. Let's get out of the mechanics. Let's get away from the mechanics and start talking about surviving the system. There we go. Yeah, you're right. He's like, we have misinformation all over the internet, which makes us dumber. Yeah. I just came because I want to hear good stories and good ideas. Well, don't blame me for that, because a lot of that is your fault. About good ideas and great stories and things like that. Yeah, that's not, I just happen to have found this small oasis of peace and tranquility and creativity, and I was like, I waved my hand in the air. It was like, hey guys, come on over, so that we get to hang out on this side of the world, because yeah. I didn't click on the link, I'm electioned out. That's awesome. Use a straight vector, straight through Han Solo. Okay, yeah. All right. Spiral. So vectors like straight through, like Han Solo. Yeah. Pretty bad at being circumspect. We look at A New Hope, right? Yeah. Spiral equals strategic maneuvering, a ninja or rogue. Yep. Axis equals research and thinking. Researcher, science officer, Spock, studying a situation. Do I understand that right? Not only do you understand it right, you have given us examples. That is exactly right. And some people are better at that than others. And so, you know, your straightforward. Let me think of something. Your straightforward bounty hunter might be very good at vector and axis. So maybe they hunt and stalk their an escaped criminal or something like that, because they're literally a bounty hunter. But then when they get into the thick of things, they're like, I'm taking you in, and then they're also very good at vector. Now, saying that they're very good at vector, that's not exactly how I wanted to promote it. It's more a methodology of doing a thing. So you are absolutely correct. Yeah. Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah, very much. Thank you. Yeah. That's cool. And that whichever one of those approaches, that's going to maneuver how you interact with the world. And you just pick one. And you don't have to pick one and stick with it the whole game. It's like, you know what? We're being circumspect in this thing. This isn't working. I'm just going to grab the guy by the throat and throw him up against the wall and tell him he better give us the information. And then you tell, basically, we're going to talk about what you're doing and then apply which one method, and everyone can chime in, right? And we're like, dude, that's definitely vector. And you're like, man, but I'm not really good at that. And like, sure, but that doesn't mean you're not doing it, right? Yeah, the can does exist. I hear you. So if we're going to roll 2 dice and not have any modifiers to it, that's a little bit too random. So how are we going to adjust this? Well, first of all, like I said, there will be a numerical value between vector, spiral, and axis, and that's going to be like your actions, how you are being proactive. Reactiveness, oh man, if my character gets hurt, what's going to happen? How do I recover? And that's where person, place, or thing comes from. If you have a thing, a baseball card, an old earth firearm, a badge from your old job, a small child's toy, a coffee mug, whatever the case may be, a vape pen, I don't know, just coming up with all kinds of things. It could be a hologram or whatever. It's going to be, I think a lot of players are going to default to having their thing be the highest because they can literally stick it in their pocket, pull it out, and then they're going to put their highest number here so that they have access to it. The danger in doing that is that the game master, the admin of the game, could threaten that. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to lose it, but they could steal it. It could get lost. It may be in contention. So the idea is that it's not here to destroy, but it is here to make a story. So someone a place that you're comfortable in. Like I said, person could be people. So it could be a type of people, like the downtrodden, a group of elite soldiers. It could be a political faction. Place could be a casino. It could be your home away from home. It could be a warehouse or something. It could be the local bar or whatever. All those things could get threatened during the game. But there's some other things that we're going to come down here. These are all your assets. I actually should exchange one for the other. I don't know. I don't know. It's just not coming out right. Anyway, everything here that you're looking at, these little hexagons, these little dots and such, all of this is going to be filled in with words. I know that sounds dumb, but every word that you fill in here, and it should be a word or 1 or 2 word, not necessarily a phrase, but a descriptor. And all the stuff on this side that's being surrounded by this purple square here is part of your zipper, and all this stuff over here, these three hexagons, is your jacket. Well, what's a zipper in a jacket? Well, your jacket is your body, your artificial body, your biological body. That's what a jacket is. It is in a way, it's what your mind wears to operate in the world. A zipper is your mind. Zipper is like a zip drive. It is your digital information as a concept, and you're going to write things in these. Now, there's going to be a list of things you can write in there for your mind and your jacket. All the things written in here are your assets, everything here. This is also your, if I can go back to a very basic thing, these are your hit points. So in here, you may write something down like scuba diver, alluring, swift, intimidating, engineer, again, bounty hunter, whatever. You're going to write, there's going to be a bunch of things you're going to write in here. Everything in your zipper is part of your mind. It's everything you remember, all your experiences. All that's going to be written into these hexagons, these blocks. The colloquial term for that are pockets. So you're gonna have a bunch of stuff stuck in your pockets. Equipment, weapons, documents, all that stuff's going to be written in here. And your jackets, you're only going to have one jacket on at a time, because you're going to be, maybe you have your original biological body, maybe there is a mechanical body that you can zip into. Maybe there's a third one, like a black market one with like enhanced biological systems or cybernetics or something like that, stashed in a secure Black Ops location on a moon, orbiting Saturn or something like that. And these are going to be your jackets that you can slip into and out of. I was going to make it a little more difficult to do it, and I was like, nah, that's kind of the cool part of the game. So your jacket's your biological body. It can get destroyed, beat up, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's replaceable. It's a jacket. Your zipper is the most important thing, and right here is your core. Anything you put into your core will not be threatened by things that happen in the game. So remember I said that that there are, when you roll the dice, there's going to be a light die and a dark die, a star die and obsidian die. And it's called Obsidian Star. One is a setback and one's progress. So when you roll the dice, there's always going to be either setback or progress. If you ever have a setback, it means that you are going to lose access to to your assets. Essentially, one of these blocks is going to get marked off, and you have no access to what is inside of it. So if you have laser rifle, engineering, and bounty hunting inside of one of these, and you suffer a setback, you don't have access to that any longer. And the narrative will tell you why it is that you don't have access to it. Now, as a player, you get to pick which one of these you're going to do, but you're going to want to have your most important stuff stuck in your core. Everything else is up for threat. Everything else is going to be up for threat, including everything in your jacket as well. So if a physical threat back is piloting an Aerodyne sports car or whatever, floating, hovercrafting across the surface of Mars, and an orbital laser struck your vehicle and it tumbles out of control, and you suffered a setback of 2, you're going to have to mark off 2 of these pockets, and you don't have access to that until you can heal it back. And then when you, air quotes, heal back, you recover, you're going to have to go access a person, place, or thing that's important to you to recover that. Now, there's going to be plain old recovery, like medical recovery, psychological recovery, but if you want to do it fast, you're going to have to access like a person, place, or thing. Now, that access could be, pulling out that collectible card and holding on to it as you sit there bleeding and suffering because your hover sports car got blasted with an orbital laser. Or it could be calling up a friend, or it could be a flashback or something like that. But that's essentially what it is. The reason for the dots is that you can have multiple things inside of your pockets here. In the beginning, you're only going to have one per, but over time, you're going to get new assets, and those assets are going to start filling up your pockets. But it also means that many of your assets are going to be under threat as well. So while you will get better, it also means that you have a greater propensity to lose access to a lot of those things. And yes, you can mix and match things that are going to be in your core as well. And the dots are basically like you can check mark off if and or when you are having access to it. Each asset is basically a +1 modifier. So we're not going to be writing down a whole bunch of modifiers. Basically, you're like, you know what? My character is intimidating, and I do have a cyber arm, and I am going to threaten that dude by grabbing him by the throat. So that's definitely a vector action. Plus, I'm going to get a +1 because of my intimidating, because I have one of my assets is intimidating, and we had a discussion at the table, and my cyber arm is pretty threatening too, man. I could crush that dude's throat, so I'm going to get a +1 for that. And then you're going to roll both dice and add it to your progress die, your star die, so that hopefully you'll get a higher result than your setback die. That's basically it. Now, zippers and jackets, this is posthumanism. So it means that, just like player characters, there are going to be NPCs that have access to these things as well. And those NPCs, you may meet an NPC that's not in a body that you are familiar with. We saw this happen in the Altered Carbon television show. Spoiler alert, our main character ends up realizing at the end of the show that a number of people he met at the beginning of the show was just his sister in different bodies. And so yeah, there is a little bit of complication with that. And then you get to the bottom, towards the bottom of the character sheet. There's armor. Armor is pretty simple. Going to get into that. And then this is everything that you have of value. Ice, bricks, and data cores. But we're going to get into what you have to say, and then we'll get into surviving assist. You guys are funny. Zipper is a concept. I'm a little confused. Oh, zipper is a slang term for your mind. So in transhumanism, there's an idea that one day humanity, I'm not talking about role-playing games, I'm talking about actual posthumanism, that one of these days, we as human beings will be able to, let's see, it's big enough. One of these days as human beings, we will be able to download our minds to become digital information. And every player character and most of humanity has a hard drive in the back of their head, base of their skull, essentially, if they're walking around as a humanoid. And it's like a thumb drive in many ways. And that thumb drive is a DVR of all of your life experiences. So if your body was destroyed, they can recover the hard drive that's in the back of your head and then insert that into a jacket, hopefully a cloned body that you could insert yourself into, and then now you are alive again. Right? That looks like it's off. Why'd you say? Anyway, and in world, it's called a jacket. I mean, it's called a zipper. A zipper, a zip. It's just from old. It doesn't really look like a thumb drive, if we want to be honest, but it is. It's slang, and then your jacket is your body. So your zipper is not just a concept. Your zipper is your physical mind, and your mind has all your experiences, everything you know, all your information. It is all of your experiences. It's your ability to deal with situations. It is keeping track of the things that are important to you, and whatnot. So for example, if you have laser rifle and a thermal grenade written down here, and during the course of events you have a setback and you no longer have access to it, did you forget you even had it on your belt? Did you drop it? Did you leave it behind? That's going to be part of the narrative, of the narrative positioning that's going to happen when you lose access to it. And remember, as a player, you're going to get the opportunity to decide what you lose, because you may really want to keep that laser rifle around, unless you say, you know what, I forgot to, I don't know, bring a an extra cell charge for it, so I ran out of ammo. So I still have the laser rifle, I just don't have access to it because I don't know, it ran hot or something like that. We'll get into explaining what the hell all that means. All right, value proposition. So in the SYS, in the system, there are different ways that we have monetary value, and that's through ice, bricks, and data cores. Now, already talked about data cores because that's the creme de la creme. That is the Indiana Jones. We are hunting for this thing. Data cores are the physical representation of theoretical science. So chaos theory, string theory, wormholes, tachyons and time travel, energy fields, and all sorts of things, psychic ability, all that stuff, that all the theories that we have today are wrapped up in data cores. And data cores are like one-shot, game mechanic wise, they're basically one-shot magic items. They are ciphers. They are a data core is a thing that allows you access to science that is untowards, not able to be done, and you only get one opportunity to use it. Now, you want to keep the data core after it gets burned out because it can lead you to another one, and having 3 or more data cores together can then become another one by stringing them together. So having three used data cores can actually get you the abilities of one single data core. Everybody's going to want them, so having one or more is going to put a target on your back. So you got to hide them. There's going to be weird side effects for using them. There are signals that are sent out because people have them, things like that. Enemies are going to go after them. It's a built-in story, essentially. Bricks. A brick is so the hard drive is the zipper, the connecting unit for all the bodies. Yep, that's you. Imagine if your brain could be in the size of something like a coin, a grain of rice. Okay, so stuff you list in zippers is intangible mental capabilities like skill or occupation. Yes, absolutely. That's where the zipper is. Imagine, like right now, I'm wearing a hoodie with a zipper on it, and it's a jacket, right? And the zip is your character. What is your character without a body, right? What is your player character if they didn't have a body? Who are you? And that's what your zipper is. I was going to use the term gear, right? I was going to say gear, but that made it seem like you're only carrying around equipment. I may do a slash and slash, but I kind of don't want to go back and forth with it. So yeah, zipper is more like your capabilities, it's your histories, it's your experiences, and then your jacket is your physical body. Now, monetary values, and then we'll get into surviving, and then we'll get out of here. So bricks. In the beginning of space travel, we know today that anything and everything must be accounted for when you go into space. So as space travel began to become more universal, they have these these plasta-alloy containers to carry things into space, and it incorporated like the weight, the mass, the density, the volume of things, and it had to be anything you wanted to take into space had to be accounted for. So they put them in these things that are basically called bricks. They stack together, they lock together, and you can stack them in a hold to take it into space. And they're protected, they're sealed up, you can't see what's inside of it. It's like a stasis chamber. Hey, and over time, people have lost their bricks, people have died, there have been accidents, and a brick is quantum, It's a Schrodinger's cat. It is a quantum existence of a thing that you don't know. And a brick is basically all the stuff that people wanted to take into space with them. They stuck it in a brick, sealed it up. And so bricks are a icebreaker when it comes to conversation, because people will talk openly like, hey, what did you bring with you when you traveled, when you decided to matriculate here to this college on a space hab orbiting Uranus or something like that, right? And eventually people started collecting bricks that were lost or not claimed, and you don't want to open up the brick. And so it could be dirty socks, it could be a half-eaten sandwich, or they could be family photos or launch codes for nuclear weapons, or a very pristine heavy energy weapon. It could be a set of very fine clothing for a black tie event. It could just be tools for use. Nearly anything could be inside of a brick. And so bricks are exchanged as a monetary value because of what they could possess, to the point where there are people who exchange bricks who have never opened them, and those bricks have never been opened. Once you open up a brick, you remove the value, and then the value becomes whatever the hell is inside of it. So it could be a gold bar, or it could be a set of old comic books, right? And bricks are intended to be a comedic release. If you're playing if this game is going to be very dark and kind of Lovecraftian and whatever, bricks are a little bit of a release. It's like if you find dirty socks in a brick and you're just like, man, this guy gave me a brick and had dirty socks in it, because no one knows what's inside of it. But bricks are also, when I say quantum, I don't mean physically quantum. What I mean is no one knows what's inside of a brick until you open it. So, for example, a crime lord might have a warehouse stuck with hundreds of bricks. It is a measure of influence, power, money, because where'd you get them from? Are those people you killed? Did you find it somewhere? Maybe you need a favor from someone, and instead of giving them money, you hand them over a brick to get their it is very mystery box. It is completely mystery box. And yeah, he was like, yeah, okay, I'm pretty sure I get it now. This system, I think, needs to be played to be fully understood. I like it though. I go for more squishy than crunchy. Yeah. Bricks are kind of like that, right? Like bricks are okay. You guys have heard about the concept of the mystery box in terms of writing. That's what a brick is. Can a player character make a new brick? Yeah, you can open up a brick, stick something in it, and close it up. As a matter of fact, you're probably gonna want to be encouraged to do that. If you don't want to 3D print something, if you don't want to print something where you get there and you want to hide it, you're gonna have to stick it in a brick and have it shipped to where you're going to be. There might be a good chance you don't get to recover what the thing is that you wanted to get shipped to where you're going. So if you're traveling to Mars, and of course player characters, you know how players are, right? They want to have all their big ass weapons and all their cool gear and whatnot. And if they get there and for some reason, let's say there's a quarantine, or the warehouse where the ship landed, they're unloading stuff and the authorities have confiscated the bricks to hold them or whatever, then the players may not even be able to get to their stuff. Well, somebody's going to get to it, and one brick just looks like all the others. They just stack together because that's how things are transported. So the fact of the matter may be, just like player characters are badasses, there's other people out there too. And so, yeah, players can stick all kinds of things. Yes. Yeah. It says, oh, that sounds like fun. I'm thinking of some ruthless, awful things to put in them. Yes. Gross stuff. Yes. Yes. I didn't want to get too deep into it, but like, could there be dead bodies? Could there be, and I'll say it because YouTube might hit me. Could there be a child, some fetal element inside? Yes. All kinds of drug paraphernalia, all kinds of things, evidence from a crime, a serial killer's murder kit or something. Yes, all those things can be in a brick. And so a brick is a quantum storyteller object. Lastly, we have ice. Ice means what it means, and it's also a theoretical thing. Money, cash, credits are called ice in this world. So why is it called ice? The most valuable element in the solar system is ice. H2O. Yeah, an engineered virus. Yeah, you open up a brick and you release release some kind of engineered retrovirus. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Do players want to just randomly start opening up bricks? You're going to get in a lot of trouble. Maybe 99.9% of the time you get a whole bunch of dirty socks, but then whatever. Yeah. A secret note written by a spy meant for a drop location, but the PC's got it. Hell yeah. That's exactly what it's for. You could literally start the game out by saying, guys, you opened up the brick, it's on the table, and inside of it is ... and that starts the whole adventure. Heck, it could just literally be you find a hard drive with a blinking light sending out a signal. It's contacting someone or something, and it's coming for you right now. Well, what is it? I don't know. I'd be so tempted. That's the point, right? That's the whole point. Yeah. And there's going to be a huge table of rolling up random bricks. Most of it's going to be pretty benign, but there's going to be some pretty dangerous things in there, right? Like if you open up a brick and you have nuclear launch codes, some players are going to be like, I get to play with this. Where are the nuclear weapons at? And they're like, well, they're in a orbital kill satellite around, I don't know, Luna or something like that, right? And they're like, one of these days we're going to have to launch one of those nukes. That's basically what it is. So ice represents ice water out in space. Ice is H2O, hydrogen, 2 hydrogen and an oxygen. Ice is water, ice is life. Do bricks ever have warning labels? They can. They can say, please don't open, or handle with care, or radioactive, or something like that. Yes, they can. Normally, here's the problem. Human beings are pretty horrible. Sometimes they'll stick dangerous things into a brick that's not labeled at all, simply because they don't want anybody to know that it's dangerous. So yes, medical facilities that are transporting things in bricks are going to be tagged medical thing. Radioactive isotopes are far more common in space because it's vacuum, right? The radiation doesn't really matter. So you're going to get a lot of that stuff, right? Yeah. Ooh, I want to sell the launch codes. Exactly. Yeah, but to who? You buy, sell, trade them. So money in this world is considered ice. And it's not that your player character is carrying around ice cubes. That's not what's happening. Your character has access to reserves of ice water. And your access to that is, ice is the gold standard in space. So supposedly, and we know this doesn't exist any longer, but supposedly every US dollar that we have is based on the value of gold held in Fort Knox. So used to be that way. We know it no longer exists like that at all for any reason. But every unit of ice that you have access to, you can sell to somebody else. So now you're literally trading your chit so somebody else has access to that ice water. And putting fake warning labels on a brick so you don't get access to it. Yep, exactly. Hey, I'm going to hide these nuclear launch codes inside the medical facility. Yeah, and yeah, ice is a gold standard in this world. So I don't have ice cubes in my pocket, but I've got 3 units of ice that I can give to somebody else to trade for goods and services. So when I give them access to that person might go, ooh, I'm literally going to trade in my 3 chits literally for frozen ice in space. And I can use that either for water, oxygen, and rocket fuel. So in this world, there's ice fire engines, and ice fire engines separate water into liquid hydrogen and oxygen, and they burn that for rocket fuel. And it's burned in a magnetic bottle so that it's hyper efficient. So it's not just chemical rocketry, it's more fusion or fission rocketry, but that's basically it. Yeah. So I assume bricks are different sizes. Bricks could have water in them. Yes. I haven't. The size of a brick is contingent upon the story. So I decided not to give a specific size standard for brick. Just hey Flynn, what's up? Just know that bricks are meant to be stacked together to transport them from one place to another. So they're basically like Legos. They're building blocks. You ever go into a big box store and you can buy like the empty storage containers, and they stack together so that they're easy to stack in like a garage or a warehouse or something like that. That's exactly what a brick is. And ice are basically like credits. They're chits. You can cash in your ice for ice in a location. So if you go to what happens? I tag myself? I don't know. You're funny. Okay. Surviving the system. So the solar system is normally called either the system or the SYS. It does have an actual name. It's either called the Copernican system or the Hyperion system or Hyperionic system. Only in official documents do people really call it the Copernican system. For the most part, everybody just calls it the SYS. Oh, I don't see. It's not highlighted for me. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it doesn't come up. You're just good, silly. So as players, you're going to be running around the world. There's 2 more things I'm going to go over, and then we're going to get out of here. As players, you're going to be running around the solar system, getting in all kinds of problems and situations. Most of it's going to be based on your constellation, what your group's goals are. It's going to be based around any stories that come up because of the bricks that you have or the data cores you're trying to either obtain or you already have. It might be about acquiring more ice or buying, selling, or trading actual physical chunks of tonnage of ice. And lastly, it's going to involve your persons, places, or things that are located on your character sheet. So the things written on your character sheet are my excuse as a game master to make your life complicated. Armor is basically very, very simple. 1 level of armor is pretty civilian. Most people won't notice it. 2 levels of armor are going to be noticed, although there are people who can wear 2 levels of armor, but they're not combat oriented, like construction workers or icy moon miners and things like that. 3 levels of armor, you're literally armored up for war. Despite the fact you may not have any weapons, most law enforcement is going to stop you if you're wearing 3 levels of armor. You're like you're a Halo soldier at 3 levels of armor. Whenever you suffer a setback, instead of suffering a loss of any of your gear in your pockets, anything in your zipper, any assets for your jacket, you basically mark off the armor. So if you've got 3 levels of armor, you can suffer 3 levels of setback, and just instead you just mark off that piece of armor on your character sheet. That's essentially how it works. Sorry. Ooh. There we go. What's the last thing? Oh, now you made me forget. Oh man. Okay. I apologize. So because this is science fiction, and we are in a science fiction style thing, the game isn't going to be roll initiative every round of combat. Okay. So the narrative weight of the game is going to be describing why it is you suffered any setbacks, how it is you are progressing. So the last thing in the game, and I need to put it on the character sheet, I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it, is something called an orbit. Have I taken this from the clocks in Blades in the Dark? Yes. But tension timers have always been in role-playing games. But the most common tension timer we've ever known is clocks from Blades in the Dark. Everybody knows what they are. Orbits are the exact same thing in this game, and orbits are going to complicate your world. So an orbit is a timer that when the orbit comes to pass, either a good thing, a bad thing, or a mixed thing will happen in your life. So an example would be you're being hunted by Black Ops mercenaries, and that orbit could be like a 4-point orbit. So after 4 iterations, on the 4th one, those Black Ops soldiers will come after you, and they will arrive in the story. Everything is going to operate on. Yeah. So I was looking at one of your comment here. Heathen says, "Oh, I like the Copernican system. A callback to the astronomer who realized we orbit the sun." Exactly. That's exactly where it came from. I didn't make that up, by the way, although I wish I did. I tried to look up what our solar system is called, and there is no standard for it. And the two are Copernican and Hyperionic, or something like that, from the Greek god Hyperion. I love orbit. Oh, so there is a cost to armor, but it's also a social or logistical cost, not some invented setback like saying it prevents magic. Makes sense. Yeah. Armor is literally like now the armor thing again is kind of narrative, because hey, I suffered damage, I'm just going to mark off a piece of my armor, no matter the numerical value of how much you would suffer. If you just mark off the armor stops all of it at that time. Orbits are like timers. It's a numerical value, a 4-point orbit, 6-point, 12-point, whatever. And yes, it is a D12 system, so it goes up to 12. And essentially an orbit is like it's a clock. It tick, 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 tick. And think of an orbit like a planet, right? So it's orbiting away from you, and at its halfway point, it's actually at its furthest point away from you. In a sense, it's not only could it be physically far away from you, it could also be socially and strategically and systemically far away from you. Meaning, like, if Earth is on one side of the sun and Mars is on the other side of the sun, we're at our furthest points away from each other. And meaning that out of sight, out of mind. So those Black Ops soldiers that we have a 6-point orbit, and we get to the 3rd and 4th click in the orbit, 3rd and 4th point in the orbit, you're not really getting any information. Where are they at? You don't know. But then when it starts to get closer to you and it starts to orbit closer and starts to align with you, that's when the big things start happening. That's when you're getting messages from your allies like, dude, you need to hide because they are going to be on your ass, and things like that. And at a certain point, the orbit will impact you, and that thing will happen. He says, can you give a couple more examples of orbits? Sure. Wow, I thought they just called it Sol for sun and the system. I thought too. A Sol is a solar day on Mars, from what I looked it up. And I was going to call it Sol. I was actually going to call the game Black Soul, but it already existed. I was like, damn y'all. Could it be like your ship runs out of fuel? So here's the deal. Players and game masters can make orbits nearly any time they want. My suggestion is going to be each person should only have one orbit going at a time. And then as a game master, I should not have more than one orbit per player. So essentially, if there's 4 players, you're going to have no more than 8 at the table, because it's going to be too complicated to juggle them all. But essentially, instead of going, you fail when you run out of hit points, up front in front of everyone, an orbit, you're gonna name and detail the orbit. So an orbit could be your ship runs out of fuel, you are arrested by the authorities. Let's do this. Let's pick something we've seen in movies. Hey, Han Solo, Jabba the Hutt is going to send mercenaries after you, and you are going to be captured. You owe Jabba the Hutt. This is a debt. All that stuff are orbits. An orbit could be, I have an important document, data in my head, and at some point someone will capture me and steal that stuff. So instead of saying like, oh, I have hit points, and when my hit points are 0, I'm done. Instead, you can say you're captured, you're out of time, a thing is stolen from you. Remember, this is high tech. Someone comes and steals your body and removes your brain from your body. Maybe you have a memory in your brain, something that you don't know. I know Black Soul would have been awesome, but if I search for Black Soul and do a Google search, it comes up with all kinds of stuff. HarperCollins Publishers, Black Soul, Wikipedia, Black Soul symbol, Black Sun, Spotify, Black Soul, SoundCloud, Black Soul Music, Bandcamp, Black Soul, the soul of Black folk. There was too much stuff. I was like, fuck. That happens. If you have multiple orbits at the same time, you risk creating Kessler syndrome. Yes. Both literally and figuratively in our own brains. Yeah, Drew. I didn't think that you would. Thanks for stopping by, Drew. You always keep me grounded. You are tracked down by a rebellion contact and given a mission you may or may not want to perform. Orbit, right? Yeah. Orbits take the place of monsters and hit points and things like that. So you can label here's the example. Players, you've stolen the MacGuffin, you're running and gunning through the city, and I, as a game master, I'm like, listen, at a certain point, you guys are parkouring over rooftops and all this kind of stuff, and there are guards pouring out of the corners. They're going to capture you. So I create an orbit of 6 that we're going to lay down on a table ostensibly. So you now have 6 clicks to get the hell out the city. Otherwise, you will be captured. So it's not a matter of they show up and now we have to figure out whether you're getting captured or not. No. The end result is if this orbit comes to pass, you will be captured. So when you're rolling the dice and there's a setback, the setback will keep ticking the clock. So when you're rolling the 2 dice, one die is the light die, their progress die, one die is a setback die. Setback keeps clicking that orbit. That orbit will get closer and closer and closer till it happens. Now, for players, some players want to have a good thing happen. A good thing may be, I need to contact my black market contact to get forged papers. So we go, okay, forged papers. You need a fake identity. Like, yeah, that's it. I want a fake identity. Great, fake identity. We're going to make that a 4. And there's going to be examples of 4, 6, 12, like big, long ones and short ones. Most of them are going to be short, from like a 1 orbit clock isn't really an orbit or a clock. It's rolling the dice pass fail. That's really what a 1 is. A 4 is tick, 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 boom, now it happens, right? So For example, a hacker might be able to hack into a door, but it might take four orbits for it to finally open up. Hey, I set my program to go. It's gotta tumble the locks. Dude, there are people shooting at us. What are we gonna do? Well, hey, you set it up. We're gonna run. We're gonna be a decoy. We're going to the north. You hide on the south end of the building, and when the door finally opens up, then we'll deal with it. So that's exactly what orbits have. So a character might say like, hey, I want to reprogram this AI. I want to contact my black market agent. I want to set up explosives around the building so I can detonate it all at the same time. Those are all going to be orbits. And then 3-body problem with orbits. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Kessler syndrome. Yeah, hard to get more ubiquitous than the term a black soul, and black sun has some regrettable connotations. Yeah, Anon. Yeah, absolutely. A container you are delivering will come unsealed, thus ruining its contents, causing you to fail the mission. Exactly. A very important person you are protecting must be protected from assassins trying to kill them. Hey, if that orbit comes to true, a bullet goes to the back of their head, right? Like, it's that kind of thing. And these will be stacked back and forth. That disease from earlier will be released. Exactly. And one orbit could be very short, say 4, or an orbit of 4. Something could be very long, an orbit of 12. An orbit of 12 would be something like a rebellion happens on a totalitarian space hab, and the people are going to rebel, throwing the place into chaos. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but this is something happening in the future that may or may not impact the players. At this rate, Kessler syndrome is going to be so bad in the 24th century, it might make Obsidian Star impossible. I guess they must have made good orbital cleanup bots along the way. Kess is a real thing. So for those who don't know, Kessler syndrome is, matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna even put it up here. Kessler syndrome is the idea of space debris causing more space debris. Kessler syndrome is a theoretical scenario where space debris and satellites become so numerous that collisions create more debris, leading to a chain reaction that makes Earth's orbit unusable. Kessler syndrome has expanded to other planets, Mars, around the moon, Luna, even Venus has a bit of that, and has come about because of space battles. And in a space battle, and The Expanse did this multiple times in the show, if you blow up a spaceship, here's some images actually, where you see all the dust and all that kind of stuff. Let me put the images up here. What's a good one? National Space Center image. It's not that big, but you get the point. So in The Expanse, if you ever seen that television show, whenever they blew up a spaceship, they would say, prepare for impact, because the debris from that starship that they blew up would actually impact them and could actually cause them more harm than it would be to use piracy, which is why piracy is so big in this world. Thinking of mechanics, you could do something with interesting orbits. Just a random idea, don't know how you make it work, just if they intersect something really bad happens. Okay, so Mufa and Shy Squad mentioned this before. You can have an orbit that no one knows what it means. So you could just, as a game master, just go, here's an 8-point orbit, and the players are like, what does it mean? You shrug your shoulders. I don't know. What do you think it means? Right? But when it comes to pass, that damn thing is going to happen. And so part of it is investigative. Like, all right, we know something terrible is going to happen on the horizon. We don't know what it is. And every time we take certain actions, our setback keeps making it get here closer and closer. How do we stop this thing from happening? And what is it that's going to happen? So, yes. Obsidian Star would make a great video game, dodging space trash from Kessler Syndrome. It would be like Asteroids. Yeah. For those who've never played the original arcade version of Asteroids, Asteroids literally is just Kessler Syndrome as a video game. It really is. Oh, like crossing streams. Yep. Instead of a die roll, could you have a game within a game and play Asteroids to see if you make it out of orbit? Hey, if you've got a tabletop version of the game, that'd be awesome. I loved playing Asteroids. Roller balling and turning and twisting and hitting your thrust and all that. Yeah. It had real thrust mechanics in it. Yeah, great game. Give it a few hundred years and the problem will solve itself by forming rings. In fact, the solution may be more space junk. That is actually true. Technically, Saturn's rings are stable Kessler Syndrome because they're like rocky and icy bodies that smashed against each other and eventually went into orbit. Yeah. Yep. Bad thing on the orbit? Bad thing on the horizon? Obviously a moon. Exactly. Can an orbit be good, like an import your character has a windfall of money coming in? Yes, that is absolutely correct. Yes. So players can create good things and I can go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And now it may not happen immediately. So you're kind of waiting. You're kind of like you're bouncing your knee, sitting in your seat, waiting for it to happen. But yes, that is the thing. So an example would be, okay, whatever space hab you're on, you're being hunted, but you need passage off of this rock. You have an ally that's like, hey, join us here at 12 noon in 3 cycles or whatever the case might be, and I'll give you passage off of this place. So it could be something in the future. Hey, we've got an easy way to get out of here, but we have to wait. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, everybody stop so I can play Asteroids just to see if my shit makes it anywhere. Yeah. That'd be awesome though. Just, oh shit, yeah. Orbits are rad. Thank you there, Heathen. Thank you. So this is an overview of what I've been working on, and yes, the overview is the hard part. Is for me, the hardest part is the narrative load, right? So what I mean by narrative load is, how do I tell people that when you suffer a setback, you're going to lose some of both your skills and your equipment and your contacts and your knowledges are all going to be listed in here. Your jacket, whatever jacket you're in, all those things are going to be listed in here. Like, hey, one of my jackets is like a Terminator. Like, I've got human skin on the outside, but I'm mechanical on the inside, and I have certain capabilities. Hey, my other jacket is from Mars. I've got that reddish hue to my skin, and I can breathe carbon dioxide and see in low light or whatever. Oh, here's my other jacket. My third one is designed for zero gravity, where instead of having feet, I have hands. I have 4 sets of hands, 2 where they normally are at the ends of my wrists, and 2 hands at the ends of my ankles, and I can operate in zero gravity and blah blah blah, right? And when you suffer a setback, which could be physical damage, it could be psychological trauma, it could be social anxiety or loss of reputation, you're going to suffer a hit point. Basically, this is 10, right? You got 7 over here, 3 in your jacket, you're going to lose 1. Well, why did you lose it? And as a player, I get to decide which one of these things I lose. In the fiction, we're going to explain why that exists. Let me give you an example. Batman. So Batman might have like urban ninja, rich playboy, billionaire. You know, he's going to have billionaire. He's going to have playboy. He's going to have all these things. Now, Batman gets in a fight with thugs and suffers a setback. And written in here is billionaire. So Batman's like, the person playing Batman goes, well, I'm in the middle of a gang war. My billionaire asset I don't need at this moment, so I'm gonna just mark it off my character sheet. Well, what does that mean in the fiction of the story? It means that at this very moment, while Batman is fighting in a dark alley, something happened that made him lose his ability to tap into his billions of dollars. That means maybe he's been fighting crime too many times in the dark alleys and losing track of his money. Maybe there's a corporate takeover. Maybe someone hacked his computer systems into his businesses, and all his CEOs or corporate officers or something are panicking. They're trying to contact him, and oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning because he's beating ass, right? So that's what the progress setback system is. Your setbacks are going to cause you to lose access to your assets. You want to keep your assets around, and whether you can even use an asset to do a thing. Batman can't use billionaire in a fight with a bunch of thugs. That makes zero sense in the narrative. But if he's got Batarang down and martial expert down, and shadow cloak down written on the character sheet, he's like, dude, I'm going to use my my martial expertise. And of course we're like, of course you are. You're like, I'm gonna use my Batarang as well. Can I use that as an asset? We're like, hell yeah, that's part of your character. Great, I'm gonna use that and throw my Batarang and take out a bunch of these dudes. Okay, well, these thugs, I'm using my own game as an example. The thugs are basically like a 3-point orbit. That's it. It's a 3 points. All right, so you roll the dice, and I got, my progress die is high, and okay, my progress is 2. We'll get into how much progress you can do, and like, boom, okay, you take them out. So that's it. Okay, gonna have to get ready for bed as I listen. Good night, everyone. Have a great day. Great morning, day, or night. The same to everyone else. I'm gonna let you guys go. Can you have a jacket be a small shuttle or ship so you can just fly around space and take the party? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Or would you? You're okay. So yes. There it is. Yeah. So, because you're talking about the anons, but how would you get through the ring if it's super dense from tightly packed Kessler syndrome debris? And it says, oh, put one of those bricks on a timer for an orbit. Yep. It's so funny. And or would the ring only form at one latitude so you could easily get around it? At a certain point, to be honest, that's probably going to happen. But how fast would that happen? Is the problem with the Kessler syndrome, right? Like yes, Earth will eventually start to have a ring around it from all the trash and debris, but how long will it take for that to happen? That's the problem, right? Because every time somebody keeps dumping more trash or debris up into space, you're throwing the natural inclination for everything to want to orbit at one latitude out of you're throwing it out of sync. But that is a real thing though. Earth kind of has a ring around it. Some of it made by us. I like Heathen's last want to comment that he's already gone there, but says in so much time this brick opens. Good luck. Tick 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 tick. Exactly. That's exactly what it's for. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I held you too long. Thank you very much for letting me introduce this to you. The wording of this, man, I keep going back and forth with the wording, and it's rough. It's pretty damn rough to get it to get it down pat. But yeah, there's the oops. Ooh, come on, just a little smaller. There we go. Yeah. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for allowing me to like go off. Yeah. Have a good sleepy time. How many forget, well, that trash ring that we can also remove it? Yeah, people forget that we can actually get the trash out of there, which is a real thing. Well, at least in this game, it's going to be a real thing. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Going to leave you with a little bit of a call to action before we get out of here. So, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of this Friday. I really appreciate it. For those over on Twitch, thank you very much for finding this channel over there as well. You guys on YouTube, whatnot. So, guys, get out of here. Gonna wake you up before we leave. No. Thank you. As a matter of fact, everybody over there, enjoy this.